Windstone Academy did not resemble a traditional school so much as a carefully engineered environment designed to cultivate excellence. After all Saikou Corp sponsored nonsense was the same in that regard. The campus stretched wide rather than tall, its modern glass and stone buildings arranged with deliberate symmetry around a central courtyard, where a circular fountain sat as the unspoken heart of student life. Pathways branched outward like veins, leading towards specialized halls, science, performing arts, advanced humanities, each one reflecting the Academy's purpose, refinement, focus, and the quiet expectation that everyone here was nearly above the common matters of young adults. Everything down to the air felt processed, yet there was a spark of life in the halls that could hardly be felt elsewhere. Students moved through it with a kind of awareness that bordered on performance, their voices layered into a constant hum of conversation, laughter, and, more or less, subtle competition. No one said it out loud, but everyone understood. This place mattered, and only the privileged could set foot here. Isabella Islie had adapted to that understanding easily. She walked with her usual quiet composure, her messy blonde hair catching soft light, her deep blue eyes reflecting the world with sweet ice that none could melt, her thick socks climbing up her legs powerfully, all while she passed along the concrete path that cut across the courtyard. Or perhaps it was marble. She was never good at judging the nuances of the environment when there are better things to think about. Her posture was slightly hunched and shy. Her face was often plastered with a sad expression or blatant wariness that made her seem both sweet and avoidable at the same time. The way she keeps her hands low and atop one another only amplified her wispy presence, but she really isn't quite so upsetting as her appearance may project. Her presence was unobtrusive in a way that allowed her to exist without interruption. It was easier that way. After all, people reveal more when they aren't paying attention to you. She wasn't thinking about anything particularly important at the time, just the next class, the assignment she had already completed, the faint, distant thought of what her mother had said the night before, something about patience or timing, something like that. How certain things in life could not be rushed without consequence. Isabella hadn't questioned it. Her mother rarely spoke without reason. Still, Isabella wondered why something like that flew from her mother's mouth so randomly. It wasn't like she said that on day one of the academy or anything. Then, as if the world were a fairy tale, she saw him. Her steps slowed, just slightly enough to register that something had interrupted the natural rhythm of her heart, and her eyes settled on him as if guided there by something beyond her drifting mind. A boy stood near the edge of the courtyard, partially shaded by the overhang of one of the adjacent buildings. He wasn't interacting with anyone. He merely stood there, holding a book in both hands, his attention fixed entirely on the page in front of him, as though the rest of the world had lost decisive relevance. Brown hair, slightly unkempt, glasses resting naturally on his face, a stillness that didn't feel forced. She could not believe the paradigm she was laying her eyes upon, like a masterpiece untouched and uncorrupted by the filth of those around her. He was absolutely wonderful. And in that quiet moment, Isabella understood. Her breath caught, one and the same as a blade puncturing a lung whilst healing her soul in swift grace. This is it. The thought did not feel like a conclusion to her, yet it well and truly was. Her mother's voice surfaced in her memory with unsettling clarity. "You'll know it when it happens, my sweet Izzy. Don't be so scared. It won't feel confusing, I promise. It'll feel like something clicking into place, like you've just found something that was always meant to be yours." Her grandmother had said something similar. What was it again? The Islie condition. Like a blessing that worked like an arrow for those that inherited it. One big arrow to point and say, "This is your true love." At least that's how Izzy thought of it, although her grandmother said it was more like a curse. Isabella's fingers tightened slightly around the strap of her bag as she continued to look at him, her mind moving faster than it ever did during anything mundane, faster than it did during exams, during conversations, during anything that required conscious effort, because this didn't require effort. It just clicked. This is what they meant. Her gaze sharpened and perceptions she held of the world became irrelevant and hyper-focused all at once as she absorbed the sight before her. Every detail about him had suddenly become critical in a way that demanded her starved attention. The way he stood, the way he held the book, the way he didn't react to the people moving around him. He didn't adjust himself to fit into the social currents that everyone else seemed to navigate instinctively. He was the best kind of man. Oh, the masterpiece! Something in Isabella's chest tightened with a kind of intensity that felt correct, aligned. It was him. There was no doubt, no hesitation, no questioning of whether she might be mistaken. She had found him. And in that realization came something else. A quiet thought slipped into her mind and she held her bag, strengthened by a possessive blush. He's mine. The thought arrived effortlessly, as though it had always been there, waiting for the moment it could finally attach itself to him, like a glimmering parasite, mutually gorgeous for them both. Isabella looked away. This shouldn't be happening, but it was. She was too scared. How can I approach him? I mean, just look at him. She rushed off, grazing her hands along the doors in a chaotic whoosh. She passed him by without stopping, without speaking. The feelings were too intense. She couldn't do this now. She had to think. Yes, that's right, think first. Days passed, then weeks and blissful months. Harry Khal. The name settled into her thoughts as naturally as everything else had. She hadn't searched it for long. Information moved easily at Windstone if approached correctly, and Isabella had always been good at asking questions in ways that didn't feel like questions. Upperclassmen, academically advanced, reserved. She learned more over time. Not everything, but enough. Enough to understand his patterns, his preferences, the subtle consistencies in his behavior that made him predictable. Predictability was useful. He could never be predictable in a bad way. Oh no, his predictability was magnificent. He was just too easy to stalk is all. He didn't perform like some of the other students did in their pitiful stagecraft of life. He was more lively than any of them, more human. That's fine, Isabella thought one afternoon as she watched him from a distance. These people are irrelevant anyways. It's just me and you. A faint warmth settled in her chest at the thought. It was so warm, it made her feel so happy. I would do anything to see him smile at me.
Isabella?
The voice broke through her thoughts gently, but not enough to fully pull her away from her anchored thoughts. She turned slightly. Raina Haven stood beside her, her green and black hair catching the light in delightful contrast as she shifted her weight from one foot to the other, her expression carrying quiet insecurity. Raina always looked like she wasn't entirely sure if she was interrupting something, even when she wasn't. Raina hesitated, offering a small, apologetic smile. You didn't hear me the first time. I was asking if you're still going to the music room later. We're practicing, and I thought maybe you'd want to listen again? Isabella blinked once, her attention splitting, not fully leaving Harry. Oh, yeah, I might. Raina nodded, though there was a faint flicker of something uncertain in her expression. She could tell that Isabella wasn't entirely present. That's okay, she said quickly. You don't have to decide now. I just thought I'd ask. Isabella gave a small, polite nod in return. Thanks. Raina smiled again, soft, genuine, and after a brief pause she stepped away, disappearing back into the flow of students moving through the courtyard. Isabella's attention returned to her thoughts once more. Harry had shifted slightly, turning a page in his book with the same quiet precision she had come to recognize. She's not a problem. The conclusion came naturally. Raina was important. Someone she liked, someone she respected, but not exactly relevant. Not like... A voice cut through the air. Loud. Unavoidably obnoxious. Not like Raina or Isabella at all. Wait, Harry, right? Isabella froze. The essence of her soul was gripped by harsh strings. Her gaze snapped towards the source of the voice. A girl stood in front of him now. Confident posture, expressive movements, the kind of presence that drew attention without effort and held it without hesitation. Linda Knoxville. She is speaking to my beloved, smiling. She's too close. Harry looked up and responded. Isabella's fingers tightened around her bag. This was bad. What did Mom tell me to do? 1 breath in, 1 breath out. The world did not change. The courtyard remained loud, active, filled with movement and conversation. Despite this, the sounds became louder, piercing. She could feel the rage bubbling in the pot of her stomach. The urge to grab that girl's jaw and tear it open swelled. No, the thought came instantly. Her breathing slowed, her posture remaining perfectly, composed in spite of her mental terror. That's wrong. She shouldn't be there. Linda laughed at something. Too loud. Too loud! He doesn't need that. The blackened distaste of Izzy's soul gloomed like the columns of smoke one could see for miles in a city. Her blood ran like cars on a freeway, far too fast and far too hot. Isabella felt something tighten in her chest once more. Pain, rage, focus. Something very focused. This will happen again. The realization came inevitably. Other girls would approach him, talk to him, insert themselves into his space, his time, his attention. No. Her grip loosened quickly and rightfully. This wasn't the end of anything. This was a variable. Izzy was always good at controlling variables.